Welcome to Wooltalks. This time on Wooltalks, we will be discussing about Polarstar Travel's core story that we did together last autumn. And we will be talking about Polarstar Travel's story and the benefits of the story and how the story is becoming alive in Polarstar Travel's everyday life. And I have here Heidi Jokela from Polarstar Travel. Welcome, Heidi.
Hello, Anne. It's so nice to be with you today after a long journey, what we did together for Storification.
Yes, I'm so happy that we get to discuss a bit about our story journey together. And maybe we start from the beginning and maybe we tell our audience a bit about Polarstar Travel. What is the company Polarstar Travel? What do you do?
So we are a local destination management company in Levi. That means that we are serving our tour operator customers from the airport to the airport. So we provide them the services from transfer to cottage or apartment accommodation. We have a weekly program what we offer to them, and then of course the transfers. And then, of course, we have also private groups. We have individual customers. We have weekly program sales. We have our own apartments, what we sell through different channels, 24 apartments, plus the cottages, where we provide a typical local Finnish accommodation, like a holiday, like a Finn, like the same way that we Finns love to do. And we are, of course, a local family-owned company. So my husband is born in this area, and actually his family is here from many, many generations. That was actually one of the first Finnish families to move in this area a couple of 100 years ago. So he is really having his feet on this land.
Yeah, and that was one of the very important themes what comes to story.
Yes, in fact, the family history and also the history of the Noidu, the last shamans of this area, that really my husband's family is rooted from the real family descendant from the 10th generation. So it's a really long history. It's a history of this place, of Sirkka and Köngas villages, and it is actually why we are here also to provide this authentic local experiences to our guests.
And how long have you been doing this work?
The company was already formed in 2007, so it's already quite a long journey. And with the big tour operators, we started to work on 2009. We had the first big tour operators to start to work with us. And then little by little, because we were working good, the word went on, and then we have now many tour operators that their customers are our guests, because also the big tour operators wish to have a local touch, and family companies the best way to give this real experience of the place. And that's how our work has been growing in these years.
Why did you feel like that you need help from the story designer?
Because since 10 years, I have been thinking what is our position in the market? Who are our competitors? And they're basically companies that are not real local companies. They're big safari companies that some of them are really Lappish, but not really from Sirkka village. So I wanted to make more in out our story, that we need to make, this is the kind of differentiation from the other companies, that we are really local company. We have really long history on family history. We have really long history on being here, and we can really offer the authentic experiences that maybe the big safari companies are more like muscle. They have big groups, we have smaller groups. We always try to tell about the local stories, and probably the big companies, they don't know them. They don't maybe are so centric on this. They are more like take the natural values, what of course we do also take, but we wanted to also have more this our local value and the stories of the family, the stories, local stories, and also this brand like family-owned small company in all our brand, in web page, in our whatever. So this is why we ask your help, because with daily business, what we're doing, it was too much to be thinking alone.
How important do you feel that there was this story, but also these details, how to take it into practice?
This was really important because once you have written the story, we already took it in this season on use in all our cottages and communicated that story to our guests. That was really appreciated from the part of the tour operators, but also from the part of the guest. But of course, it's one story that if you put it on the paper and leave it to your guest, that's fine. But of course, you have to have it in all the materials. It has to be like a red line that continues in daily doing of the company and marketing purposes, and also web pages, that the communications would be since the first time the guests get in our web page, or when they arrive to Levi, or when we communicate with the new tour operators or whatever, so that we would be really clear from each side of the customers way to our services, that they always know whose customer, whose guests they are, why Polarstar, and what is the meaning behind our name, and why we are so proud to be locals, and why we love this Levi area, the Levi Fell, and all this Arctic nature. So we wanted to communicate that more to the guests, and also the side of our guides, also that they would also need to have very clear who we are, why we do this, and where this love of the nature is coming, and that it would be really important also for them. So we have been started this in many levels after that we have been started the process with you. And I think it's very important, because once if you write just a story and it stays just one story besides many others, it doesn't help so much the company to be different than the other companies.
Yeah, that is true. And also thinking that, of course, the core story should be seen like it's a bit like a film script that is like guiding your storification process. What do you see? What is the importance of the story still? Now we were talking about the storification, the details, and taking the story into practice, but the importance of the core story written in one paper. So
It is. Yes, it is really important. It was really important also from the beginning of our storification process, that we invited all our company staff in the meeting, that everybody would say their opinion and how they feel, and many of them has been working a long time with us. So we get the voice for each staff member also, and that was also important, because then you get the staff also to be involved, and then they at the end, when we had the story done, then everybody would stand behind the story. That is also very important, that all the company is presented with the story, and each part of the staff member is also involved and inside, and that feel that this is a story that they can be proud of. And I remember when we had the staff meeting in November, and we were presenting this story in a very like drumming and going like in a big mythological also way, and then we were representing the story. So some part of our staff that are local people, they almost started crying, and they said to me that I'm so proud to be of this area. I never thought about it, and this is the point that we would like to involve also our guests, that they get so touched of the story that almost the tears come to their eyes, and they can fall in love also with us as their northern family, but also for this area as we love it. So it's really the core. It was always in my mind, because this is why I am here in this area and how I get to love this area. And then when I get married to my husband, I even get more like rooted on the area. So it was really, really important, because of course there has to be story behind every company. So this is what the people love to hear, the stories, the real stories of the companies, of the people, of the places, of the nature, of the history. So this was really important. We wrote it, and we wrote it quite carefully. You helped us to write it, and it was really important that we took each part of it very seriously. And then it was so nice that you put all these parts together. We discussed it then afterwards, and then the story came out, and I think it's really beautiful. I'm almost touched when I read it myself. So I think that's very important, that it really presents our company fully.
Why do you feel that you needed my help? Because I think this is something that comes up in my work, that sometimes companies can feel that, yeah, we have a story. We don't need help with our story. And I think there might be something that is a bit like I want to say a bit of maybe a bit of lack of understanding what is the meaning of the core story and the meaning to get some help with the story. Why did you feel that you could not do the story by yourself? I know you're very creative and talented and storyteller yourself as well. So why do you need, why tourism company, why they need the help of the story designer?
Because it can be in my mind, this story. I can tell it to the customers or guests when I meet them, but it's only me. If it's everything behind me, it really doesn't go through. And I was always thinking that we have so many stories to tell to our customers, but if we don't have the core story, that we can make it through from our web pages, that it's now in process how to put it there, so we can't communicate it to anybody. Like, when we can communicate only the people that meet me, but not the other members of the staff. And if we have we have 14 15s during the season, and if I only can represent our story, and I'm mainly in the office making the sales, so it doesn't never come true. And then in this situation of the market situation, actually, that there are many good companies that are taking always bigger and bigger share of the services in Levi. So you have to be yourself. You have to be like coming through your story and tell it to communicate it to your guests before they arrive here, that this is private family-owned company. There is a big story about the drumming, about the local Noidu shamans and so on. So it was really important that somebody helped us to write it down in a professional way, that it's not just in my head and I will tell to the customers that I just sometimes are drumming myself, but it's not enough. It's not enough just that the owner of the company has it in her head. It has to come through. And because I'm so busy of doing daily marketing and sales and leading the company, so I never really had time to sit on the story and say, okay, now we have to do it. But when I contacted you, and I was doing a lot of search before calling you, who you are and who I asked around who could I hire for this story process. And then everybody I was asking, they came, okay, Anne Kalliomäki, Anne. And then at the end I contacted you and say, can we do this together? Because I had so good impression on you and the work you have done before already in Lapland. You know Lapland, because sometimes it's not so obvious that you start to speak with somebody, for example, from Helsinki. And then if they know nothing about Lapland, so it will be very not very profound, the story, but you have to have also the knowledge of the area. And because you have been doing these storytelling processes with many part of Lapland and with different organizations and companies, so it was really good CV, as I could say, that you was already in the Lappish stories about the Lapland as Arctic areas, the nature, as the stories, as the Sami people, as the local stories in different part of Lapland. So I thought that you would be the person that would have a knowledge of Lapland, but on the way, in the other side, very professional on the story telling process. So you have written book and you have been doing consultation with many parts. So that was one of the reasons why I decided to contact you.
How do you feel that this process went, starting from when you contacted me, and then we did the workshop. We did a little, I think, little survey to our team about the story elements before the workshop at Levi, and then we met at Levi at the story workshop and continued from that. How do you see the whole process that we have done together now from start?
It was really professional because I mean, first we had meeting. I presented you what I would like to have as a story, what was in my mind, and you told me about how the process in general is going. Then we had another meeting. Then we had our staff like survey that they could write about what they feel, what is our story. Then we had the meeting in Levi. First we together and then the staff together, and like a workshop that was really, really nice. I mean, the staff liked it so much, and I think it was so productive, and it was really nice also for me to see how my staff was feeling, and there came out the same kind of opinions what I have had, but in the different point of view. And I think that was really nice, and then guided by a professional, that we wasn't there like 3 hours just discussing, but it was really somebody that was taking further and having the timetables and written everything. So I think it was really, really productive. And afterwards you had all these opinions, and then you took them in the Korean and took, okay, these are the 2 or 3 main points that everybody can agree. And then we went further with you, and then with the smaller team, with me and my closest like sales office manager and people that have been working for the longest time with the company. So then we could go a little bit further, and actually there was many meetings with not only with me but with the other members, the main people in the company. And then when we have the story, then with the smaller people, this core story, we went through it and we still maybe corrected a little bit. And then at the end we had the story, and once when the core story was done, then you presented us the different point of the how we can use it and where and how. So ideas how it could be put in the action. And meantime, the season was going on, and we already took the core story and already had it. We used it in this season for our guests and get really good feedback. And now after the hard winter season, we're going to work now out for our webpage and all the marketing material and where and how we are going to put it still more in action.
How has the story come alive already?
I mean, we had this wonderful idea to put it in each cabin when our clients, our customers arrive. So they had on their table this story with the photo of me and my husband welcoming them to Lapland. And then we had this pour water from Finland, a bottle of water, and we wish them a good holiday and wish them to be part of our northern family. And that was how we put it already on the action. And in the same way, in all our excursions, we had the meetings with guides, that it was really obvious, because many times the customers, guests, they are from the tour operator's side, and actually they know the name of the tour operator with whom they are here, but they don't know who is doing the excursion themselves. So we just said everyone to always say that welcome to this Polar Star Travel North evening snowshoe excursion. And Polar Star Travel is family-owned local company, and we are really happy to have you as our guest today. And we want to show you our way of what we love to do here. We love to hike with the snowshoes. We love to grill the sausages on the fire. And of course, if we are lucky, we will see the Northern Lights. So it was all this was already put on action. And then in these private groups, then when I was, for example, cooking and doing the dinners, and I took my dram and I told them our story. And it was really touching many times that the client, our guests were really happy to hear. And I remember always 6 people, Swiss men that were agriculturists, and they were almost tears in their eyes when they were listening to me. And then they said, this was so touching to us because we are agriculture, so we are also living very deep contact with the land, with the nature, and it's so enthusiastic to listen your stories as local contact with the land and with the Mother Earth and with the Northern Lights, and this kind of deep feeling that they also have because they are agriculture. So they are also living in really close contact with the nature. So in many ways, it was just to come like out of the hidden stories, just open the doors, and here we are. This is how we are, and our guests really appreciated it. So it already came through during the season.
Of course, the Polar Star Travel, as I say always, that the company name is kind of the title of the core story. And so it was with you really important, the Polar Star part. And also I think that what we talked about quite a lot is that, of course, in Lapis tourism, there is this Northern Lights are very important, the experience of the Northern Lights. But now with you, we are, of course, Northern Lights are still there, part of the experience, but we are kind of the experience of the Polar Star is there in the core in a way, and it's a kind of way to also differentiate from other companies. And we had the cookies, Polar Star cookies was something that you have already shared with your clients, customers.
Yeah, that is really like also because the sky with the stars has been always inspiring me a lot. And that's why the name of the company came Polar Star, because it's the brightest star in the northern sky that always lead you to the north. So the mythological north, the Arctic nature in the north, the old traditions, the very old fells that are the one of the oldest mountain chain in the world. So there is this really old energy. And when you see the northern sky in the night, when it's full of stars, so it's always nice to see that is our leading star, the Polar Star that is there, and you can always, it's always indicating you the direction to the north. So to your own Polar Star that you can find inside yourself, and that can be the peace, connection with the nature, Arctic feeling, mythology, the local villages, the local people. So it can be whatever, because this is how the north is representing our story. And this is why the people are coming here, because of the Arctic nature, because of the polar night, because of the experiences in the nature, in the cold weather with the snow. And then in the summer, there is the midnight sun. And when you go through the period of autumn, then you have these beautiful stars twinkling in the sky again. So it is like all the year besides the really long summer period with the midnight sun. Of course, then you can't see the stars because there is the biggest star, so the sun in the sky, giving us long light days and nights. So this was this was my meaning. This was why I gave this name Polar Star Travel. But then when you started to still search and telling us to take this Polar Star even more like our leading point of the Gore story, so it was really important, and I really appreciate it, because sometimes you get almost a little bit blind of your ideas, and because there are so many things, and then when you get in the core and in the really center of your story, there comes the really meaning why we are existing. Why? Because we want to share our love with Arctic nature. We want to share our love of the northern sky and polar star in the way, and all what is behind it, about the history, about the mythology, about the old stories, about the way of living here, and mainly about the love of the Arctic nature. Every company can tell this, that we love Arctic nature, but when you take the polar star there, what is the importance of this polar star, our name? So there it comes, why we exist, what we want to give our guest more than maybe the other companies. They have other values or their core story, but this is our core story. And I think it was really important to find it and write it down. And now it's very clear inside of all of us in the company why we are here and why we are different from the other companies of this area, or Lapland, or Finnish Lapland, or even Norwegian Lapland or Swedish Lapland, because we are local and we are proud of being local company.
And that is so beautifully said also. And what I think is very important to understand also, that the core story is kind of describing the experience you are offering to your customers, that is the point of the core story, and the kind of deeper meaning that it gives to the experience, what it's all about. And in Polar Star story, we really kind of went deep into the meaning of Polar Star. And really, as you said, it's not only the polar star at the sky, but it is more the meaning that you can connect with your own polar star, and it can guide you in your life. And in a way, when you come as a tourist to be a guest of Polar Star, maybe the experience that you can offer is something that we as people can connect with our own Polar Star. And that is kind of, I think, the experience that definitely the Lapis nature and the old tradition. We kind of talked quite a lot of also about this tradition of shamans and kind of this drumming, and how it is connected with connecting with the fells and with the nature, and how it all then goes back into this idea of connecting with your own true northern polar star.
Yeah, that there is a deep connection. It's not only like activities what we do for fun. That's also of course nice. So sometimes I just feel that it's nice to give them experience of deep connection with the nature that can really change their life also, in a way that then maybe when they go their daily life, they want to also get closer to the nature and maybe come back again and connected, feel this connection again. And even though they come only once, but their star remains, polar star remains in their heart, that they will remember us and how they had good time around the fire, looking on the sky, maybe seeing the sky or northern lights, or maybe not seeing even though, but just walk in the nature in the night or daytime and feel connection of the Arctic nature.
I think what's also very important is that the story becomes alive in action. We already talked quite a lot about this, that the story needs to become alive in the customer's experience, so that it comes the story experience. And one of the things that you have already done is that you are doing this thing that in the end of those experiences, those trips, that people can kind of, the guide is showing where the polar star is up in the sky, and it's kind of in the end linked into this kind of storyline that is there.
Yeah, and then it's also this drumming that is also part of our company. So in many, even like we have amazing levy competition, like this kind of team building, and it ends always in the hut where there is the storytelling with the drum, and we are telling about the local life, about the stories, about where we are, why the village of Sirkka, why it's called Sirkka, why the fell of Levi, and why this Immeljärvi lake, and so on, where the names come from. And it's really interesting that all our guests that come, for example, from northern Sweden, once we have a big group of the miners of the mining company, and I was thinking how they will feel about the drumming, but they were so like amazed, so enthusiastic. And when they take then the nature card that we give at the end of the experience, they were really making the photos of the cards and coming to me and telling how this is really true. And you know, it's always when you get in this deeper connection, when you first think that, okay, how do they feel? But then when you are yourself and you really tell the authentic local story, people really appreciate it, even though they're Finns or if they are foreigners. That works for everybody, because that's something that they feel that they get a real story of the area. It's not only like activities or levy skiing resort or whatever, but there is really a reason why the village of Sirkka is here, why the fell of Levi is so important. And so they get the base story of the existence of this place. And I think it's always very important to tell the local stories. And it's not only me, but we are now writing all these stories that everybody can tell them, and that we have got also other members of the staff that are drumming. So it's not only me, but we can have another also woman of our staff that is doing also this drumming. So it can be like fixed, if not me, but somebody else of the company, because we are all feeling this very deep connection with the nature.
Yeah, how do you feel that? We of course talk a lot about this authentic story, but in the core story there is a part of like also fiction and dramatization in it. How do you feel about this kind of connection between authenticity and then using this kind of fictional part also in the story?
I think that gives because stories, you can never say which is real, which is fiction, because the stories are there, they can be even historically proved that this Torajainen Noidu was living in this area, because there is also the name places name, there is also in the old tax list there is his name. So then it's up to you what you believe. If you believe that he was really a shaman, that he has some shamanistic potential, and what he did in his life, so then it's up to you. What is your story? What is your beliefs, if you believe it? But stories are always nice to be told, because they're part of this old mythology. I was married to the local family with a long history, and I'm really proud of this history. I'm really proud of being part of this old history and storytelling. And this strong mythological part also. I think it was really important that we write down also the core story. So then we get the other stories to go together. And in the way we have these unique possibilities now to from the core story, we get the different branch that goes in different sides, and we get like a story bank of Polar Star Travel.
Yeah, everything under the
unifies the nature, the Polar Star, and then on the way the old culture, the stories, drumming, and the fells.
Yeah, everything under the core story. And, yeah, and of course, when we are talking about tourism, we are giving our customers experiences, and I think that's maybe that giving those experiences, we kind of need a bit of this magic of dramatization and fiction in it, although we are using as the basis of the core story always is authentic. What does it mean for your business strategy to have a more clear core story?
You get like more clear vision who you are, where you are going, and what are you offering, and why you are existing, why your company is existing. So you get all this clarified and written, and then it's much easier to go on your sales course and attract tour operators and individual customers. And when you have this clear in your mind, then also when you get the seasonal guides, when you're making training for them, then you can make sure that everybody understand where they are working and what is our core business, what is our core story, what is the why we are Polar Star, what company we are.
What would you say to other tourism companies? Why should they make their core story? What are the benefits that you get from working with me and creating the core story?
And I think it's really important nowadays because the stories are very important. And if you don't have your own story clear, even though you offer wonderful experiences, in the future, this will be the winning point, I think. And that you don't only write the story, but you will write the story in the way that it really represents you. This is all the values of the company, and you are using them in all daily actions, what you are doing. So I think it's really, really important. And alone, maybe somebody has got a lot of time, can try to do it alone, but with the professional help, of course, it comes much more professional, that you're really doing it step by step, and then it really comes as you have thought. But sometimes with the business, everyday business, you don't have time to do it, and you don't have even maybe the capacity to write it so nicely than a professional. So I think it was really important. We just find out our story, about the core of our story, what we always had in our mind, but now it's really written on the paper, and now we have a plan how to put it in everyday life and how to do it even more, and how to make it seen for our guests also more. And I think in the future, we are living in very big competition. There are big tour operators, there are big safari companies, there are big hotels, there are big chains around. But people are looking for authentic experiences, even though they may be living in a big hotel. But when they go out, they want to be part of the local story, about the local history. They want to have the culture. They want to have a real experience, a real local authentic experience. What surprised me was that, of course, I have read about you, but I think it's even went further with all of our expectations, that how deep we get in the story, how deeply we got involved on this, how much you listen to us, and how professional you pick up the points that we put in the core story. Because of course, we have in our mind so many different things, but we have to have the core story first, and then we can develop it in different sides. But sometimes it's difficult to see the main line, what is the main line, or decide what is the main line. And now it's really clear, and we thought, okay, yes, of course it is this, but why couldn't we see it with our eyes before? Because when you concentrate with the professional help on things, of course the things are then done and you get the good result. But it's also asking from us, from entrepreneurs, to be really concentrated and really think about it. And also for me, I went to really read the history, Kittilä history, and all the, because we had the new history book. So I went through once more and wrote it also the facts. So if somebody asks, I know now also the facts, not only the stories. So it was also for me really like, you made me work, because you said, okay, what is the history behind this? Okay, what is the history? There is the history, but let's go in the books and write it down again. So if somebody asks, now we know also the historical facts, that why the Torajainen was here, what happened during the period when we don't have so much written history or written history of this area. But people were living here, they were registered as a taxpayers, and little by little from this, we can have like the story lines, that these are the historical quadrant, and here is inside then our story. Yeah, the mindset was of course that we already had in our mind, that what is our story, but we needed somebody to help us to write it down and find the main parts of it, the core line. So of course you have to have mindset that you're willing to make your story, and you're willing to put it then in action. And of course it's also meaning that you have to understand the importance of the stories in the business, because it's not only tourist business. If you even take the milk bottles, like the 1 liter milk, there is written this is produced by this producer, and there is the story of the family. So it's going everywhere. And if we are in experience industry, so we should be the first to go with this storytelling, because this is about our business. It's the core of our business.
Yeah, and definitely.
And if you didn't do it yet, but now it's really time to do it.
Yeah, and of course, when moving from the storytelling more and more into storification, which is more this story-driven design process, where story is not anymore only about storytelling, but it's in everything we do, and it is that we are aiming to really offer this story experience to our customers. And so that's what I think that we should all kind of work for, and that is the kind of course my message is that is the winning recipe in a way, especially for the tourism companies. Yeah.
I agree, really.
Something I wanted to say about that, getting ready for the story workshop, I think it's really, I think that what you did really in a beautiful way was that how you prepared also your team for this work. And as you already said, that it was really important that you all were there in the workshop, and also your international guides, some of them were in the workshop. And so it was really important part of the work, that to prepare your team for the work. And as you said, I think for me as well, it was really, yeah, we had a really beautiful workshop, and it was really, it's always good to see that there is this kind of and as you said, that there is this, that people somehow wake up to that fact that, oh, this is who we are, and whoa, and this kind of feeling of being proud what we can offer here.
This is completely, it's really true, because you have to be proud of what you are doing, and you have to be really important on it. And because our company, how we also recruit the staff, it's always that we say, okay, you have to be in love with the Arctic nature, because that is the core of all of our business.
Thank you so much, Heidi, for taking this time and sharing your experiences on storification process and making the core story. And I'm really looking forward to being part of your story also in the future.
Thank you. It has been really interesting process, and it was really pleasure to do it with you. And I'm sure that all my team have the same opinion of all this process. So thank you so much, Anne. I think this story is so touching, because it tells you how the first people came to Sirkka, and they just decided to stay and live here, surrounded with this fells, levy and Kätkä, and the sound of the drumming was heard from the fells, and with the blue moments of the evening and with the stars, and that there was always this polar star leading them to the north, as also this first Finns arriving in this area. So I think this was like so beautiful, mythological or storytelling moment, why the people came to Sirkka village and decided to stay here, Sirkka village and Levi fell.
Yeah, and I think what was really important, we were talking about this drumming, which had been part of the experiences already a bit, but somehow understanding that it is in the heart of your business somehow, that it is and it is also the thing that will differentiate you in the future even more, that is something special.
And then also these berries and what we get from the nature. So we have to be really grateful of the clean and Arctic nature what we have here, and we wish to really appreciate it and really take care of it. As it says, the nature is sacred, holy in Lapland. And then it tells shortly this story of Noidu Torajainen, shaman Torajainen, that he used to live here, and he has already traveled his journey, but his spirit stays in this area. And actually that my husband's family is 10th generation of direct generation from Torajainen. So that's also very important for our story.
Yeah, and that is very important for me as a story designer as well. When we are talking about this fiction and dramatization, and that it's really important that there are these like authentic roots of the story, why we are doing what we are doing, and how we can say that we are offering this experience of Lapland Noidus. So it's really important that there is this authentic reason why you are able to give us this experience. And of course, there is what comes to core stories, that in the end of the core story, it kind of summons up the experience that we are offering to our customers. And usually there is also this kind of this invitation to the customers to join the story. That is kind of the core story format in a way. So here with you, there is very much this drumming and the kind of the invitation to connect with your own polar star. And I think this was something also very important, that there are many companies who are doing this kind of course. The nature and northern lights are very important, but with you, the common red thread is very much experiencing the nature, but also this mystical side.
Polar Star Travel, your northern family. Lapland fells are like ancient motherlands. They have honed their edge over hundreds of thousands of years. Now they are soft and gentle. The fells lull their children, like in nature's own huge cradle, in the eight-season cycle of the Arctic environment. In the womb, the heartbeat of the mother creates for the new life a connection to the chain of generations, a connection to the universe. The sound of Lapis drum in the blue evenings in the hands of seer, shaman, is reminding of this connection. It rumbles in the fells and invites you to participate. The sound invites trees, birds, fish, other animals and plants and people. The drum invites you deeper into the magic of the Arctic evening, towards the universe and towards the northern edge of the sky, where the North Star, the polar star, shines brighter than anywhere else. This is the brightest star, Stella Polaris. It is the cluster of 3 stars, 323 light years away, at the center of the sky, at the tail of the Ursa Minor constellation. It has given people the direction at the beginning of time. Once upon a time, the first people came to this village of Sirkka, surrounded by fells and waters, along the road marked by North Star. They found a spring of clear water from which they drank their thirst. They continued their journey through the holy canyon, like through a gate to the village, where they found a home under the shelter of Levitunturi and Kätkätunturi fells. In the village, shaman's drum echoed from the fells by the campfire as the evening turned into blue. The shaman guided people to be connected with Arctic nature, which teaches us to stop at its wonders, to feel and be impressed, to fall in love, to heal, and to be empowered. The people of Lapland have always lived in connection with Arctic nature. He gratefully collects berries, blueberries, strawberries, lingonberries, gooseberries, and cranberries from the fells. They still live in connection with the sensitive and powerful nature around them, with its various stages. The sound of the Lapis drum restores the connection with nature, the ancient wonder of existence. It's the original, it's the first. For people in Lapland, nature is sacred. Old Lapland's Noidu Saman Torajainen has already travelled his own journey. He was one of Lapland's 4 powerful witches, powerful healers and soothsayers. His spirit has merged into the fells that protect the village of Sirkka, and his descendants are still here. The family of Polar Star Travel is part of this family of Lapland Samans, a strong part of local heritage. The sound of drum is again on the fells. It returns every guest back to the arms of the ancient fell, back to the connection with their own polar star. With us, a person becomes aware of the power and beauty of the surrounding nature and hears the call to be part of something bigger than himself. With Polar Star Travel, you can experience local Lapland, including its mystical side. We are a family-owned company that will lead you to your own polar star. We invite you to be a part of this local family, like a long-lost friend. Welcome to be our guest.